Hey everybody, it's Lavender Town, and today I'm going to talk about something that got brought up in the comment section of my last video, and that is basically about how art school and art teachers look at anime, and why anime, out of all styles, seems to be the one that is the most looked down upon, and sometimes it's even like banned. And I just want to talk about the reasons why I think that is, and the reasons why that needs to stop. And right before I get started on that, I just want to say this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where anybody can take a class or even teach a class. Membership is as low as $10 a month, and I can actually get you guys a free trial with my code down below in the description. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. Today I'm recommending Japanese illustrator Yuko Shimizu. She has a lesson on Skillshare about drawing in ink, and she's incredibly talented as an illustrator. I highly recommend it, and I recommend looking up her art. It is beautiful. Skillshare also has a mobile app, so you can watch all of the lessons you want on the go. Thank you so much for your continued support. Okay, so to start this video out, I need to talk about whether or not the rumor that art schools and art teachers hate anime is even true. And obviously I can't speak for every art school and every teacher, but in general, from what I've heard from others and from my own experiences at ACAD, this was 100% true, and it started to become clear to me before I had even been accepted into the school. I went to a portfolio review when I was still a junior in high school, and basically what you would do is you just go to the school and they'd pair you up with the teacher, and they would look over your portfolio and give you advice on how to get in, which is something I highly recommend if you are trying to get into art school. So I brought in my portfolio. I had a ton of work, and it went over super well, like way better than I was expecting. I was so nervous, but the guy I was paired up with actually just said that I was going to get in no matter what, and that I was very talented and was very kind, until he saw the one piece of anime style art that I had in my portfolio. And that at that moment, all the warmth and sort of kindness that he had been showering on me stopped, and he just looked up at me and said, 100% seriously, don't put this in your portfolio. And he basically said that anime art wasn't really welcome at ACAD, and it would hurt my application. So he just said, make sure that you only put in your cartoon stuff, not the anime stuff. And I should be clear, most of what I had been showing him was stylized to some degree. It was just stylized in a slightly more Western looking way. Now, on top of that, when I actually did go to art school and I got accepted and I went to my first couple classes, I had teachers who were just like, they just actively hated on it, and anyone who brought in anything that was anime related would, instead of getting a proper critique on, you know, their skills or their lighting or whatever the assignment was supposed to be about, it would turn into this big long tirade by the teacher about how anime is, you know, not good for our culture, or, you know, some nonsense, and basically just how they didn't like the style, and that was all the critique would end up being about. And basically those kids kind of got robbed of their experience, because you're supposed to be learning from this part of the class, and instead they just had to listen to some teacher say how much they hate this particular style. So, in short, from my experiences, the anime hatred is a definite real thing at art school and in the academic and fine arts world. Now, I think this is an incredible shame, and I've asked teachers on multiple occasions, what is it about anime that you dislike so much? And basically, there were three main points that I would hear over and over again. So the first one was that anime is too simple and it's too stylized. Basically that drawing in it will not make you better at drawing, and it's just way too crude. I've also heard stuff like, it's just a flash in the pan, it's just a trend, or it won't succeed because it is from a different country, it has no place here in the West. I think I can disprove all of these ideas, and not with my opinions on anime or how touched I was the first time I saw a Ghibli movie, but with cold, hard, historical facts. You might be surprised to hear this, but this has happened before. And I don't just mean a culture getting interested in another culture's art. I'm talking about a specific time period when many European artists became obsessed with Japan and incorporated its aesthetics and art into their own. And who might these artists be who were so influenced by Japan? Well, no one important. Just people like Renoir, Edgar Degas, Vincent van Gogh, Claude Monet, Edouard Manet, not to mention pretty much every major Art Nouveau artist, including Gustav Klimt, Alphonse Mucha, Toulouse-Lautrec, Aubrey Beardsley, and many others, because Art Nouveau probably wouldn't have even happened if Japan hadn't opened its doors and shown European artists ukiyo-e art at that time. Art Nouveau is, in essence, a combination of the European classical style and the texture, line art, and aesthetic of ukiyo-e art. So, all that history aside, what does this really mean? Well, it proves that taking a style that is more simple, that is different, and that is from a different culture does not mean that it's going to create art that is bad, it's going to diminish your skills, or that it won't succeed in your country of origin. We know that that's not the case because of this entire era. I think the idea that anime is a short-lived flash-in-the-pan interest is also not true. In fact, anime has just as long and rich of a history as Western animation does. I actually think it's a little bit nationalistic and nonsensical to say that Western animation has a long and important history and anime doesn't and won't. It's simply not true. The idea that cartoons and anime are even that different is also kind of absurd, considering the fact that they sort of grew up together, and we've been influencing each other back and forth for a long time now. So you may be thinking, if you are in fact someone who's not a huge fan of anime, that it still has no place in a classical education. Not because it's from a different country, but because it's too stylized. But you gotta realize that representational art has limited purpose, especially in a post-photography age. And in fact, even before the age when everyone had an HD camera right into their phone, people were still only remembered for breaking the rules. Can you name the artist of this painting? Because it's Pablo Picasso. But you wouldn't expect it because he's only remembered for the crazy stuff he did. And sure, obviously drawing anime style is not going to make you the next Picasso, but the point is that just because something isn't representational doesn't mean it has no merit. It's when we do something other than realism that things become unique and interesting, when they become recognizable within their own time and place. I think suppressing a style just because you don't like it, or because it's simpler than photorealistic portraiture, is a really bad idea. There's a huge difference between criticizing genuine mistakes and criticizing styles as a whole just because you don't like them. And I think any teacher who allows American cartoons and not Japanese ones needs to really think about why that is, because there's really no reason for it. They're both stylized, they both can be used to make stuff that's either really crass or really beautiful. It's just a medium. At the end of the day, anime style it doesn't really mean anything because there's so many different types of anime artists and styles. All it really means is that it's from Japan, and sometimes not even that. So overall, I just want the moral of this whole video to be, if you have a teacher who's hating on you because your art looks too much like anime, try not to let it get to you. Try to only parse out the critique that's actually helpful and ignore any of their nonsense about not liking anime, because it's really their own business if they don't like anime. That's not what they're there to teach you. And if you're someone who really hates anime and thinks that it's crap, well, that's fine. That's your own opinion. But if you have power over a bunch of young art students, maybe try not to let that color the way that you treat them, because there's a huge market out there for anime art, and they're gonna do just fine. And yeah, so it's not really necessary for you to be super mean to them. I hope you enjoyed this weird little art history lesson / rant that I made today. I've been recording for what feels like my whole life, so I'm gonna bail, but I hope you had a good time, and I'll leave you with this little segment that I recorded when I was going loopy, and I couldn't figure out where to put in the video, so enjoy. I mean, look at anything that Michelangelo has ever done. Those people are beefy. They're just super beef, and that's stylization. Big thank you to my patrons including Heart Sprinkle, Muffins McGee, Paynamel, Adrian Delport, Violet Wilkes, Chartype, Den, Brock, Juan Alvarez, Blah Blah Blah, Adrian Morales, at Liv Likes to Draw, and Kate Meekins. Thank you so much for your support.